Welcome to ARW. I'm Harold, and we're gonna do some fun stuff today. I've got a little piece that this is PLA, plastic, and I'm going to duplicate that in aluminum. I'm going to cast it, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. Now this is I'm doing this for Mr. James Perkins. I think he's over in Alabama. I forget things a lot, so maybe he's somewhere else, but I've got his address written down. And this is a steady rest for a Unimat, and it's just beautiful work, the 3D printing he's done here. He's done it in this silver PLA, and I was really impressed when I took it out of the box. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go out and I'm going to stir up some green sand, and we're going to heat up a little bit of aluminum, and we're going to make this guy. But before I do it, I've got to take off this bottom piece because I can't cast these holes accurately. I'm not not that perfect, so I'll have to put a little tape across the bottom and cast these two pieces, this one piece and this is a piece, and then of course I'm going to have to pull all these screws out so they don't get caught in the sand. So I'll strip this thing down, and then we'll go out in the garage and we'll try and get started on it. Okay, so I started off trying to put tape over all these little holes and such, and that didn't work out. So I'm going to try this stuff here. This is sheetrock spackling paste, and I'll get all the tape off of this guy here, and I'll smear it in all those little holes and gullies and stuff and make it smooth where it'll come out of the sand real easy. So while you're taking a short break, I'm going to be stuffing the goodie in here. Yeah, just take a short break in a minute. Alright, but I've got all this good stuff. I'm going to take it, smear it down on here, and it may take a little bit for me to get it perfectly smooth because it's it's not wanting to be smooth right this second, but you can see how it's piling up on there and piling up on the sides. Okay, get a little bit more in here. There we go. That's the kind of thing I need, like that. Not sure how skillful you got to be to lay this stuff out there, but I'm going to do my best. So you take a break and I'll be smearing this stuff on. Alright, so I've been holding off on this because I was lazy and doing other things. I've got to smooth this out. You can see it's a little bit wrinkled there. Get it smooth on the sides, and then this piece here smoothed out. And once we've got that little bit done, then we're going to get the sand prepared and melt some aluminum. We're going to cast this little booger, but I've still got the holes on this side right there. I've got those holes to fill up, and I've got to line this thing out just right. So that's what today's project is. The name of the game here today is sand off the sheetrock plaster, whatever, and so that's what I'm doing. And I've got this guy sanded pretty good. As you can see, he's nice and smooth, and the holes are filled pretty good. There's a little bit there. I think they'll be all right. And next thing you know, we're going to be casting this thing, but first I got to get all the sanding done on that purple paper. Now, you know how the boss on the job has got to always think of all the things that could go wrong before you get started. And my buddy Chuck, he's the boss on the job, And I told him that I didn't like the little crucible that I bought that fit in the oven because it's too heavy. He thinks about that thick. And I told him I got a couple of soup cans that I'm, prefer to use for aluminum because they're light. And first thing he asked me, he says, well, he says, those soup cans, and it's not really a soup can, but he says, have they got a seam at the bottom? And I said, no, there's no seam at the bottom. He said, well, how about going up the side? Is there a seam up the side? I said, no, there's no seam up the side. But there he was, trying to make sure I didn't mess up, But anyway, I've got a couple of cans like this, got them full of aluminum junk, and I've set my mold out there, and I put enough sand in it so I can take all that wood away from there and put a little water to it and mull it around with my hands, and it ought to be just right. I didn't want to do too much sand because I'm lazy and this is my mower, So I'll get some water and we'll get started on that, and after a while we'll get it put together and we'll actually cast something today. I'm pretty sure we're just going to do it today and get it over with. Alright, so I sprinkled a little parting sand in there, and I've got, I got my container of parting sand here close by. It's right there. It's kind of hard for me to tell with my glasses off what the camera sees, but I'm not going to film putting the sand in there and packing it down. I'm just going to do it. Alright, it's about half done, of course, so I decided to take a break. That's the best thing of all, a break. I had a little trouble finding a power cord for my furnace here. I almost went and asked the boss lady to help me, but I held out, because sometimes she gives me what for when I ask for help. There we are. It's laying there. All I got to do is pull those pieces out. It's going to be nerve-wracking, but I'll get them. Well, after taking off for a call of nature and such, I come back and find that the temperature's up to the set point. I'm going to let her sit there like that about 10 minutes or more to make sure the heat soaks through everything. Alright, I guess you can see. I don't have my glasses on so I can't see. But I'm going to dump the sand in there and we'll see what we got. I feel heat coming off of it, I can tell you that. Now there wasn't enough, the fact is there wasn't any draft angle on anything, so it's not perfect. I'll tell you that right off. A couple of pieces of sand fell out. I couldn't get it to stay, so we just cast it with sand falling out. A little cleaning up though, and it'll look pretty good. Let me see, where's my pliers? There they are. I'll show you what it looks like. There's what we got, and it'll take some doing. This center part here should have been hollow, but it kept falling out. So there you go. I'll get it cleaned up, cut the pieces loose, and contact Mr. Perkins and see if he wants me to machine this thing, or is he going to machine it. I've had all I can take for today. So I'll come back and clean things up tomorrow. At least we're that much closer to done. Alright, we didn't have any draft angle on this thing, and that hurt me a lot. I couldn't keep the dirt, the sand from falling out in these notches. And I couldn't keep this hole in the middle from grabbing a whole lump of sand and hanging on to it. So there's a little bit of metal removal got to be done to make up for that. So what we're going to do right here is we're going to come right over here. Let me turn this thing around where you can see what I'm seeing. And we're going to use a hole saw to cut that piece out of the middle where I couldn't keep the sand from globbing in there. I just couldn't get it to come out. So that wasn't the most happy part of the whole job, unfortunately, but what we're going to do, we're going to make up for the pieces that we didn't do just right. I think I need to go down just a little more. And I think I've got the center of it marked off reasonably good. When I say reasonably, I mean, well, kind of, sort of. You know what I mean? Goodish. How's that? It's marked off goodish. Alright. I think we're going to try to cut downwards a little bit and see what happens. This comes out too close to the side, so I'll just have to start over again. That's not too close to anything. Not supposed to run a hole saw this fast. There we are. Now the middle is supposed to have a hole in it. Ouch, that's hot. Got a hole in it. So I'll get my vacuum cleaner and clean up this mess here a little bit. And it's almost square from here to here. So I'm going to take my face mill and just clean it off. That's all. Try to get rid of some of these little dings here where the holes were going through. Okay? So I'll put you guys right back to sleep again for a minute while I get things set up. Got to do some vacuuming here. Yeah, I know, it sucks. Well, it's not as good as Mr. Pete would do, but I got it. It's cast, so we're going to try our best to get right up against it and square it all off. And then Mr. James is going to finish it up with his lathe. I believe everything it needs doing from where I quit will be easily done with his lathe. So I did put an indicator on that. It was 15,000 slope back this way. And I thought about it, I thought, well, 15,000 isn't, a whole job of stuff. So I decided to go with it. Okay, that cleaned up everywhere there. So now all I need to do is to turn it with this toward the fixed jaw and clean that part up. So I'm going to let you take a little nap while I set things up. Okay, I got this guy level from left to right. It's a little, about almost 2 degrees front to back off of level, and I'm hoping that that is an insignificant amount. I'm going to have to move you because you're in the way of me adjusting the height. Sorry about that. Move you back here a little bit. There we go, right there. Now I'm going to have to raise it up about 5 thousandths. Alright, that cleaned up there. So I'm going to get an end mill and sort of trim that a little bit. And then I think I'll get my rotary table and put it on there to do the 3 little supports for the fingers that hold things, you know, like the whatever round stock you're turning. So you'll get to sleep a while I change the setup here. Okay, so I talked to James and he's going to do the rest of the machining. One of the things you'll have to do is this guy here is, he looks like me, he's about 1 inch and 5/8, something like that. I made this one 1.5 inches. So that gave him plenty of material around the edges to make it any way he wants to. Okay, and all I did was I squared up the bottom and the back, and as you can see there's spots where he's going to have to put a little body filler or something in there and paint it so it looks good, because I fought the sand and the sand won. It's just, it seems like there was no draft angle anywhere, and I couldn't. If I'd have been smart now, I would have filled these things up with plaster, but I wasn't smart. I didn't think of that until it was all over. But there you go. Anyway, these will work out. He can make his 3 slots, and he can drill the 2 holes in here and the 3 holes that go through here, and he'll be all set up with a nice metal durable steady rest. Okay, now then I did also get some stickers. I've had them for a while, but I hadn't made a video for a while. They come from Mr. Kimberzelick. There, he's got these sort of psychedelic reflective stickers, whatever. They're, at least the one I put on the board over there was. It was pretty fancy. I'll show you. Let's see if I can find it up there. We'll zoom in on it. Right there. Kimberzelick, right there. Now he's got a YouTube channel and he makes a lot of good videos, and he'd like a few guys would come over there and visit him. And if I don't forget, I'll put a link to his channel right down below everything. Alright? So at this point we need to go and see what Bubba's doing. It seems Bubba's got an Uncle Zeke, you know. And Uncle Zeke was having a lot of problems with a headache right there, you know, and he's right there. And it'd gone on for just years and years, and he was finally, he couldn't take it no more, and he's telling Bubba, you know, he said, oh, I can't stand that headache right there. And so Bubba told him, well, Uncle Zeke, get yourself on down to the doctor and get that fixed. So Uncle Zeke finally, he went down to the doctor and then went in to see the doctor, and the doctor examined him, and he says, well, he says, I tell you the truth, Zeke, you're not going to like this. He says, the only way I can see to cure you is I'm going to have to castrate you. And Uncle Zeke says, no, he says, I ain't doing none of that. So he went on back home. He fooled around about a month, and he just couldn't stand it anymore. He went back in, got the operation done, and so on his way home, he was thinking, well, he needed to buy some new underwear. And he saw Saul Abramowitz clothing store over there on the side of the road, and he wheeled in there, and he went in, and he says, hey, Saul, he says, I need some underwear, some of them Fruit of the Loom kind. He said, I need some size 30. So I says, no, he says, you're not wanting those. He says, you're wanting size 34. Zeke says, no, he says, I've wore 32 all my life, he says, and I've had some changes, I need a size 30. And Saul says, no, he says, I have been in the clothing business 40 years, and I'm telling you, if you're wearing anything smaller than a size 34, he says, it'll give you a headache right there.